Hey everybody, what's going on? So, we are going to dye some RC parts today. So I've got my xmaxx blown apart. I've been doing an xmaxx rebuild series where I'm kind of rebuilding my xmaxx. Not really a how-to, just sort of showing you guys because I've never taken one of these all the way down. So what today we're going to be using some of this RIT fabric dye. I've got a couple bottles. I don't know how much we're going to need. But I've got a bunch of parts here. Now some of these are already black, some of them are kind of the Traxxas gray. I'm dyeing everything just for kind of color continuity. So we got bumpers and we got all kinds of gear here. So I cleaned all of this in Dawn dishwashing detergent and the light steel wool because you don't want any contaminants on it, oil, grease, anything like that, or the dye will not take. So that's the old parts we're going to be dyeing. We'll move over here. And here's all the new stuff, new bulkheads, new chassis, everything here for the xmaxx. So got it tore down. All this is clean. This is, factory direct stuff. So this is what we're going to be dyeing. So let's go over here and take a look at what we're going to dye it in. So I don't want to do this in my kitchen because I don't want to get anything on my floors or anything like that and get killed for it. So out here in the mulch, that way if I do get some dye or something spilled over here, it's not going to hurt anything. I've got this big plastic bucket. I was going to use just a metal one, but I can't really find anything big enough, so I'm going to use this really thick kind of industrial plastic wash bucket here. Got it cleaned out as best I can. So that's where we're going to put our water in and our dye, and we're going to put our parts in there. Now let's go. Okay, so in here in the kitchen, got 3 pots going because honestly, I don't know how much water I'm going to need. So I've boiling up 3 pots here. We'll get that done. We'll pour that into the big plastic bucket. Now you do not have to keep your water boiling as long as it's very hot. You honestly really don't even have to reach a boil. I just like to let it hit boil. Then go ahead, pour it in. It's going to cool down while you're doing everything. Pour your dye in. You can take some of your parts and stir it up. Now, one thing with dyeing parts is this. Back to the parts, one little thing for you guys. Now, dyeing anything, you can really only dye darker. You can't dye lighter. So I can't take these black parts and make them green or yellow or something like that. You would have to paint those to do that. But now, like these light gray parts, like these battery hold downs, you can pretty much dye them anything you want. Now, like Traxxas makes some white A-arms, stuff like that. You could dye those any color. Now, just remember, if you're dyeing black, it doesn't matter how long you leave it in the water for. I'll probably leave these parts in until the water cools down because what can it do? It can only get so black. Now, if you were doing blue, a green, a yellow, any of those type colors there, you're going to want to gauge how much time you leave it in because the longer you leave it in, the darker they will get. So just mind you, your color will be dependent on your saturation time. So just mind you that and keep a watch on that. And also too, your parts like this, if you have to put them in the water and they don't go completely submerged and you have to flip them over, just remember if you're doing a lighter color, you're probably going to have like a weird line in it where, it's not going to be exactly. Some parts of it are going to be submerged longer. Now black, it doesn't really matter. Once it's in long enough, it can only get so dark. So that's what we're going to do. So we'll get the water boiled up and then we'll take a look at it. So we got our boiling water in there. Obviously you don't have to stay boiling. Like I said, I've got it up a few inches from the top. We'll add some more if we need to. There is no exact, honestly, you know what? Most people say a half bottle. This stuff's pretty cheap. I'm going with a whole bottle. It's probably total overkill, but I don't want to risk just not working. So once you do that, just take one of your parts and you can just stir it up. And then you just dunk your parts in and let them sit. And like I said, stuff like this you'll have to flip over. Cool. So we're I'm gonna stack all this stuff in there, and then we'll check on it in a little bit. All right, cool, everybody. So I already flipped this stuff over. Yeah, hit the wind chime. Already flipped this stuff over, but you can kind of take a look at it and see. As you can see, this top part's already black. You can kind of see it's already starting to blacken up down there, but these top parts are the ones I've already done. Chassis here, you can see it's definitely looking pretty good. Water's still hot. I got a few parts over here I got to still do. I may make another smaller batch, or if this stays hot enough, I'm gonna let these sit another 10 minutes. If the water's still hot enough, I'll just transfer those parts in there. But we'll check it out when we're done. So I don't know how well you can hear me, but so those had been in the pot for about 20 minutes. I threw some of the other parts in there. The water was still warm enough. So instead of rinsing them off with a water hose, I transferred them over to another bucket, and we'll just use nature's little rinse cycle here. Got a nice little cloud burst going on, so hang out and wait for the bad weather to subside and take these back in the house. Okay, so here is everything dyed and ready to go. And like I said, I think I said in the beginning of the video, this kind of making this as a side video on my xmaxx rebuild project. But here you guys can see, and even the parts from Traxxas that were black are now, they're a little darker, you can kind of get a little more pigment into that. So I dyed everything just as a little more continuity. And the light here's throwing little things like that when the light looks a little dimmer. But everything is a pretty good dark shade of black. So definitely came out nice. The only thing that came out a little lighter was the battery hold downs. Now that's that really light gray plastic. They came out a little more like really smoky. I think that came out cool. Now I did have a thought about trying to dye this and kind of like taping those off with something, but I didn't know how well it works, so I just left them black. I thought, yeah, just go all black. But there you guys go. There is how you can dye parts. These will work on about any plastic as long as it's not the really slick kind of plastic, kind of like that body right there. You couldn't dye that or something. But a lot of this stuff, if it's a porous plastic, you can definitely dye it. So there you guys go. Go and dye your RC whatever color you desire.